Hi, family. How are you? Welcome to another episode of Epic Understanding, and I am your host, Coach Erica Love. All right, I have a fire panel for you today, as well as a fire subject matter, as you could see. All right, let me bring up Dr. Brian Turner. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good this evening. How are you doing tonight, Coach?
Excellent. I heard you came to bring the heat.
A little bit. We're gonna see how this go. We're gonna see how this go, but I'm gonna be fire regardless. You heard me?
I got you. I got you. All right. Uh, Shamir Bacon Destin, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. He brings the fire. I bring the ice, honey. Okay.
All
Get
right,
ready
fire.
tonight.
I love it. Fire and ice. Ooh, Michael Tross, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm bringing the chuggy, so I'm
You always manage to make me smile. I do agree. You definitely managed to make me smile. All right. So this illustrious panel, they all have a background in which they help people develop, make decisions, things of that nature, and they get to have a lot of insight into people's lives. So they really know about how secrets, lies, and alibis affect things. So I'm just going to hit it straight out. We were talking about, before things started out, how secrets affect children in the family.
Mhm.
Brian, please take that right off if you don't mind.
So one of the interesting things about children is that they're not so oblivious or inattentive as one may think. And so what we find is that parents may think that they're slick, and parents may think that they are a little bit aware, but kids pay attention to everything we do. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, one of the worst things you could do to a child is lie to them. That's the first point, right? Because that's where really secrets start to play a role, is that when kids specifically don't feel like they're a part of the decision making process, if they don't feel like they're getting the full information, in a very simple way, many kids look at the world as, I have no control over one thing, and that's school, my performance at school. Parents, we have the keys, we have the money. So we can
Mm-hmm.
go where we want, and we always have McDonald's money is the proverbial, kind of statement is, we can't have McDonald's unless you got McDonald's money. And so,
Mm-hmm.
so when you move into the secret part, we begin to understand that kids are trying to address the fact that they don't know everything. And if you're keeping something from them that they can figure out, then you're lying to them. So now
Mm-hmm.
you've actually begun to create an air of mistrust. And
Okay.
any of us here understands, and any adult, the last thing I want to do is not be able to trust you.
Okay. So do you think parents should keep their marital problems, like when you're on the brink of divorce and things like that? Do you think you should keep that from kids?
Well, let's put it this way. If you're on the brink of divorce, we don't know what's about to happen.
Right?
But once you've made the decision, once you put those wheels into motion, you need to talk to your kids about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
A
Mm-hmm.
child that's in a home where there is disdain or any type of malcontent or discontent, they're going to pick up
Mm-hmm.
on that. And unfortunately,
Okay.
many parents see that playing out in their academic performance and their behavioral performance. And then the
Mm-hmm.
parents like, well, I don't know what's going on. Well, mommy and daddy ain't getting along, or the parents are not getting along. You don't think the kid hears that at night? You don't think the
Mm-hmm.
kid can see the distance and the detachment that you display? So the reality isn't that you have to tell your child everything, but make sure your child is aware of major decisions and major issues in the home that affects them. You may not say, well, daddy's moving across the country to California, but you may just say, hey, look, mommy and daddy are going to split up. We need some time to work things out and figure out what we're going to do. And this is what dad is going to do. This is what mom is going to do. Blah, 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 blah. Give them the rules so they know what to do to be successful. It's when dad or mom just leaves and mom or dad only comes back intermittently, but then they don't see mom and dad ever acting like mom and dad again. And so we have that problem because now the child is doing the phenomenological thing. They're figuring it out with the information they have.
Okay, so believe it or not, family, I want you to know that I am going in this in a very specific manner. So Shamir is going to be next because she really focuses on family counseling. Tell me a little bit how you're on mute, by the way. Take yourself off, Shamir. Tell me a little bit about how you've seen um, secrets affect children and families?
I always try to tell people to be open and open-minded when they're talking to their children. Just like Dr. Turner said, there are a lot of things that children see and hear.
Mhm.
And even though we're trying to be discreet and keep it away from them, there are a lot of things that they really do know. And
Mhm.
so it's best to be honest and
Mhm.
open, and that
Mhm.
way there's an open line of communication. And I use the term or the comparison to the door is always open. You know how
Mhm.
they say that with doctors or a counselor at a school or something like that, where it's an open door policy. You can always
Mhm.
come in, you can always talk and discuss about anything. And I think it's really, really good to keep an open mind. Sometimes when children bring us things, we're caught off guard or maybe alarmed that they know or that the information is at an extent. But it's important to just keep an open mind when they come to you to talk to you, because that's the first step. They're being open, they're being vulnerable enough to say something to get a response.
Awesome. I saved you for last, Mike. I did this on purpose because you're an expert in adult education. And I hope you remember this. I hope you remember this. We're not going to reveal any names, but you and I got an opportunity to work together with somebody who had a meltdown because of a lie they experienced when they were a child, and they had a meltdown in class. Do you remember that?
I'll be honest, not specifically. No,
Well, because there were so many meltdowns.
we had a few. We had a few that we dealt with. Um, yeah, and so if there's a specific question in there, ask it. But otherwise, I do have something I want to talk about when we get done with that.
Okay, so the specific question is that the point I'm trying to make is that childhood lies can affect you when you are an adult. That is the point I'm trying to make. And if you would pick up from there, I would love it.
Yeah, I think that's really true, and but I'm going to approach this a little bit differently and kind of back up just a little bit, because I can tell you that when I was younger, my parents fought and they were vicious fighters, and there was a lot of things going on, and it was kind of like we weren't supposed to know. But you're absolutely right, Dr. Turner and Shamir. The kids always know. And I used to say that about working on a campus, and I still say it. There are no secrets on a campus. There are really no secrets in a home either.
Mhm.
And the question is if you just act like there are secrets. And so I think there's really two kinds of secrets. There's secrets in this context. There's secrets that you use or lies that you use to protect yourself. And there's secrets and lies that you use to protect other people. Either way, in the long run, they do tend to have a habit of backfiring on you and on the process. But you know, the thing is, you're never really sure which way the kid's going to go. So the thing that I really like to focus on here is the responsibility of the parents. Um, and I'm not sure if this falls into the realm of secrets or not, but um, it's really important, I think, that they work together, not to put their kids in the middle. I saw somebody comment on that, kids using parents using kids as weapons. And I think that's the biggest mistake that I see. And it was done to me. So I know what that feels like. And so you don't have to tell your kids, I think, everything. I think you have to acknowledge that they probably know more than you would like them to know. But I think the biggest thing is that parents do their best to treat each other with some level of respect around their kids. And when they're going to have a fight or, whatever, let's not put the kids in the middle of it, or preferably not in a situation where they even have to deal with that part of the relationship, because then it comes down to a choice. Who do I love more, mom or dad? Whose side am I on? And I think that's really, I think that's the thing that really traumatizes kids, is having to choose between which parent is the good parent. And everybody wants to cast the other person as the bad guy. And usually, in my experience, there's fault on both sides. Nobody's perfect. And so I don't think that keeping some things from your kids is a bad idea. I don't think they need to know everything. And in fact, I would say generally on this topic, I've been thinking about this since you told me about it. I am not convinced that this whole idea of in a relationship, we have to tell each other everything all the time is always a good strategy. So I think there's a difference between keeping secrets and keeping things private. And so I would encourage parents to keep some things private, but not expect that those things are going to be secret.
Okay.
I think the very important thing is to focus on what has affected the situation, or what is affecting the household as a whole. And some things will affect, and you see the results of the impact, right? Some things are more subtle, and you don't really have to focus or worry about. So when a situation or issue affects, or the secrets affect, the family dynamic, then I think they need to be addressed.
Agreed.
Fair enough. Now, did you all hear that? That was a click. We on a roller coaster, family. We are slowly going up the roller coaster. It's about to heat up.
Uh-oh.
All right. Next question. If you are in a situation live in person, you might be in a boardroom, or you might be on a panel like this. And let's say the person who has the most authority on the panel misrepresents you in a way that flabbergasts you. What is your response? Shamir, you're smiling, so I'm going with you, girlfriend.
I have to laugh to keep from generally my first initial thoughts will be talking to myself and saying, calm down, keep your composure. A lot of times, and I have to say this as a Black woman, we have to stress our authority in certain ways. So I think it's a little different for women when we're talking in reference to authority. And so I have to be cautious of how I speak. I have to be cautious of being the angry Black woman. Or
it's so interesting you say that. It's so interesting you said that. You are saying a lot. You are saying a lot, because when you are being attacked, you can't just think about how to defend yourself. You are immediately thinking about your representation
of myself,
of yourself and the world. It's coming at you huge, fast, and in a hurry.
Yeah.
You want to just be able to say whatever should be said, but I'm representing all the women. I'm representing all the Black women. I'm representing all the Black people, and there's already a mental construct about you, so the pressure is on. Right.
And you also have to think past that, right? What are the repercussions?
Yeah.
What are you going to deal with after the fact? So you just have to, measure your weight
Uh-huh.
In a situation. And I always say, check the climate before you speak.
That is very good advice. I must say that I'm just always going to try to be authentic to me. That's all I can do. I'm going to try to be authentic to me and let the pieces fall where they may.
Mhm.
All right, who wants to answer that question next? Because we're all answering that question. Who's coming?
Well,
What, Brian? You turned your head, Drew.
No, no, my dog is over here getting my attention. But since you put me on the screen, what I'll say is this, and due deference to Sister Shamir, one of the things I think about is that I was told from a very young age, always speak up. And so for me, I have probably been diplomatic in very few situations when I felt like I was being misrepresented. I would actually immediately say, hey, I'm sorry, that's not exactly what I meant. If you let me, I can explain it, right? Or I've been like, yeah, I'm sorry, excuse me, that's not what I said. So I've either been trying to be diplomatic and take it like, hey, if you want me to, I'll explain, or I've just been kind of straight to the point. No, that's not what I said. What I did think about in a space, however, was it sometimes really also is dependent upon the relationship you have with the person that's speaking, right? So if this is someone who I feel like I could say, hey, and that might be another key component, was when I felt more comfortable with the individual, I had no problem saying, hey, hold on, you're about to get us both in trouble. Let me dial you back. And then with persons I didn't feel I had that camaraderie with, I was actually more direct because I felt like I didn't have anything to lose. I needed to check them immediately to let them know that that's not how I get down. And if you're going to misrepresent me, you and I will now have a problem. Right. So I definitely, in deference to what the sister said, I do think that just from a young age, I was always given kind of that manifest destiny of being able to step into those spaces and not have to per se be concerned about how I would be viewed after, because I hate to say it, but I'm always usually viewed as an angry Black man. And I've just learned that it makes no sense to worry about what other people will say if they're going to misrepresent me anyway. So, yeah.
All right. Oh, wow. Okay. Fair enough. All right. Come on. Give it to me.
So here's the thing. I try to be, first of all, because a lot of my time has been spent in education, where I'm trying to be a role model and think that it's important to, mentor and exhibit the behavior that I would want students to exhibit. I try to be pretty diplomatic on all fronts and at all times. And you have to watch everything you say, even when you're at the grocery store, because you never know if you're dealing, if the person in front of you is a student's parent or something, or a future student. I've had that happen. I try to do that. What I find interesting, and I hope you'll be patient with me, but I was watching a comedian the other night, and he's Chinese, and he was talking about how, everything he does, he has to consider that he's, bearing the weight of, how people view Chinese people. And he said, I don't think any white person asks themselves, hey, how is this going to reflect on white people? And that's true. I never think about that. So it's interesting to me, and I think it's important to recognize, and this is something that you and I have had many conversations about, that because of the way that our system in this country has been set up, we put people in a position to bear a responsibility they shouldn't really have to bear. If you have a reason to be upset, you should be allowed to be upset without that reflecting on anyone else. Whether you're a woman or a man, whether you're Black or white or Hispanic or whatever you are. And I think that's not where we are in this country, sadly. And it's always been upsetting to me that we make these presumptions. But the other important part of that is we do we have been fed those assumptions, and we've been fed them pretty consistently. And no matter which side of it you're on, you're receiving those messages, and that's what's really dangerous to me, and I think really important. It's the secret, if you will, getting back kind of on topic here, but it's the secret of our country that we are just now starting to open up and talk about. But nobody really wanted to talk about that. And a lot of people still don't want to talk about that. And that's not okay, because it's holding everybody back, and it's holding our whole country back. And that's really dangerous to me. I mean, I was an angry kid. I really was. I had a lot to be angry about, but nobody looked at me and said, "You're an angry white kid." And that's, I can't, I'll be honest, I can't imagine living with that kind of weight my whole life. And so I have a lot of respect for people who have had to deal with that. But I also try to encourage people, and as the good doctor was saying, look, he speaks his mind, whatever people are going to think about that. And I do think that that's important. I raised my kids to ask questions, and that was dangerous enough. Teachers don't like being questioned, but I think it's important, both as an educator and as a parent, to ask questions and seek answers. I encourage people to, as you said, be true to themselves, and that's what your responsibility is.
Let me, if I can, Erica.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I learned this much later, but Dr. King said in one of his speeches, he pretty much challenged us to be thermostats, not just thermometers. And I didn't know this then, but that was really the sentiment that I was given growing up, was that I needed to set the tone. And what reminded me was, I don't know who this guy is in relation, but Sugar Ray Destin, when he made the comment, he said what he said. I mean, that's what I've always told. Like, you go into the room and you set the temperature. You determine how things will be handled. That way, you'll be comfortable. All too often, and to Brother Trask's point, all too often as people, we wind up, I mean, actually right now, not to get off topic, but that's what's going on right now politically in our country, is that too many people have just been thermometers. You see people get turned up or they get turned down based upon someone else setting the temperature. And I've just never lived by that. And so I walk into a room and I set the temperature. I walk into a space and I decide the sentiment. I decide the atmosphere as best as I could. And of course, it would be great when I have other people in tow. And so I'm going to bring this back, right, to the whole point about secrets and lies. And that's what happens with our children. That's what happens in our family. If we're not actually setting a temperature, i.e. by being the thermostat, so whoever the person is within your dynamic, within your space, that person sets that temperature. That's why we deal with so many traumatic issues within our families, because somebody's messing up or doing something and nobody wants to set the temperature. Nobody wants to turn that thermostat off. So that's why many families and actually a lot of my spaces now, I tell people, I am not going to let somebody else set my temperature. It's going to be a clash of titanic proportions if someone comes into my space and expects me to now kowtow to what they want. It's just not going to happen.
All right now.
And that goes back
go. You know what? Go ahead. No.
That goes back to the points about lies, is that if that happens, we're teaching our children, in essence, how to be in those spaces. So like I said, Brother Trask, what he said about his kids, he teaches his kids to ask questions. Well, that's going to set the stage for them going into spaces and basically saying, you can't lie to me. You have to tell me the truth. And if anything about what you're presenting to me is disingenuous, I'm going to now withdraw from you, and I have no respect for you.
You know what? I really should have put something on here about respect, because respect is a currency that is expected everywhere. Respect spins in all nations, all countries, in all situations. I got to do something about that. So look, expect a call back, because we're going to talk about respect. You know what? It's very interesting in the way I was brought up. I was brought up to be polite, period. Period. We didn't have a ton growing up, but I grew up in a household where we walked. My mother taught me to walk with a book on my head. She taught me to do that so that I could walk properly. She taught me to speak so that I could speak properly. And we set a table, and I learned how to, what fork to use and how to properly eat. If I was in a grand ballroom, or if I was in with the highest of kings, I was taught these things. And so I was really taught and expected to act diplomatically. And so it feels very strange to me when people are rude. And so I find myself just sitting back and being patient when someone is acting out. And I'm thinking, it's so bizarre. Now, I want you to know, I also see a power in the ridiculousness of it all, because you can command attention with the whole character, of acting outrageous. You can command attention. Now, that is not an authentic part of me, but I do see the power in acting and behaving that way. And it's not that I don't get angry. It's just that is atypical of my actual being. That's just not how I was taught to act. Now, I don't want you to get the picture that I didn't ever see any acting out. I both saw acting out and I acted out before. I can tell you a story where it was my street against somebody else's street. I mean, all the kids was fighting and everybody was doing that. Okay, but that is atypical behavior. That's not how you behave on an everyday basis. And the only reason for you to act that way, if you really have a reason, like you better have a reason if you are acting that way. And so you just have to be accountable for yourself. So the idea of people casually acting as if they have no boundaries and honor about themselves, I find it fascinating. I'm like, wow, you woke up that way today? Huh. How bizarre. How bizarre. You woke up and decided to be a jerk.
But the idea of honor in our society has been diminished of late somewhat. And that's unfortunate. But it has a lot to do with, and I don't want to get way far off the beaten path here, but it does have to do with how we view and how we choose leaders and what we value. And if we value entertainment over content and over depth, and that's unfortunate, but it's a part of our culture. And so I worry about that, because I see that impacting younger generations, where it seems like the idea of honor is, they have a cynical view of that. And I find that most people, even most teens, the reason that they are tend to be upset and angry is because they see a lack of honor. And they're responding to that. I probably did that a bit myself, but so I think kids can kind of go one of two paths. You can either start acting out, and that's your reaction to whatever is going on in your life. I did the other thing. I dove into schoolwork and dove into a different family that was a little more stable. But so I escaped. But there was always that moment when I had to go back home and face whatever was there. So in one sense, I don't know, is that lying to yourself? I'm not sure about that, but it's how I chose to deal with it. And so I see kids on both ends of the spectrum, and by kids I mean all kinds of ages. I call them kids because they're students typically, but I see a lot of different varieties of reaction and combinations of reaction. So I think that that's really important. But I think somebody said this is not original, but the biggest, the worst lies are the ones we tell ourselves. And so I think that's what we have to be on the lookout for.
You know, Mike, one of my favorite things about you is your ability to predict where I'm going to go next. Buckle up, family. Here we go. What's the biggest lie you've ever told yourself? I'll start. I'll put myself on the hot seat. It is. It is. It's fine. That is the biggest lie. Ooh, and told it to myself so frequently. Oh. So many things were not fine. So many times I was not okay. But I decided to push through. I'll tell you a quick story. And I needed to be taught to speak up. I'll try to make this short. But one time, me and my family, we were shopping. Girl, we was doing some major shopping, you know. The kind where you just go all day on a Saturday and you shop all day. And we were in my aunt's car, and it was a very nice car and was brand new. But somehow there was a piece of a wire that had twirled out. Okay. And there was a big sale, and my aunt said, "Get out of the car." Now, mind you, we had been shopping for hours and it had gotten dark. My leg got caught on that little wire in the back, and it hurt. And I went, ow. Now they were excited and they just kept it moving, and they were telling me to hurry up and get out the car. And so I did. And my flesh ripped out to the point I still have that mark today. Okay. And it bled. The blood ran all the way down my leg the whole time we were in the store. And we were in the store for a long time because it was a doggone good sale. You better believe it. And yes, and all of the girls were there. We were packed in that car like sardines. All the sisters were there. And as kids were there, it was a big sale. And I walked around that store in pain, waiting for somebody to notice that I was bleeding. I was bleeding good too. You want to know something? No one ever noticed. And I never said anything. And I wasn't fine. And just like I still have that scar on me today from childhood, there are other scars I have on me. And I've learned I got to deal with those scars so I can fully heal. So that's my biggest lie. Who's up next?
I'll jump on that. I'm not sure this is the biggest lie I've told myself, but it's probably the most consistent one, which is that it's my responsibility to fix this.
Okay. Ooh.
And that's the thing too. And actually, I was talking to another relative about this, and fixers kind of run in our family.
Okay.
And so the thing about it is so I came to a conclusion a while back, and it was actually through education and my attempts to resolve some issues there. And look, sometimes it is your responsibility to fix it. So I don't want people to get the idea that I'm saying, oh, I don't need to fix anything. But it's not my responsibility to fix everything, and particularly other people. And you can help, and you can offer, and you can be there. But a lot of times what they need to fix whatever is going on is not really in your power. And to realize the limitations of what you really can do and what is really good for you to do, and where you're kind of overstepping the mark a little bit, or putting yourself in a position where you're endangering your own well-being, because you feel like it's your responsibility to, make it right for somebody else. And so I think that's the thing. And truth be told, I mean, particularly as an educator, you feel that responsibility a lot because you run across a lot of people who have a lot of things going on in their lives. And so that desire to want to fix things for them. But what I figured out is it's really important that people also learn how to fix things for themselves. And that's really something that's really important to have somebody learn. And that's when I came to the idea, as I was working on this one school, that we start with mirrors, not windows. So before we start working on what's on the other side of the window, we need to start working on what's in the mirror.
Wait a minute.
You probably heard me say that.
I like it. I like it. Yeah. I like it. All right. Who's up next? Shamir, come on, girl. Give it to us.
I think the biggest lie is that I can handle it.
Oh,
I think we take on a lot of things, a lot of projects, a lot of, multiple things at once. And, we just say, I can handle it. I can take it. And sometimes we really can't. There's a thing that even the Bible says God won't put more on us than we can bear. But if you,
that's not true, girl. Every time, don't say that to me. God won't put more on me than He can bear, not that I can bear.
Or that you think, and then it constantly piles in, and we take it and say, hey, I can handle it. And, that's where we get the depression and the spiraling and those things that come because we've taken on too much weight. And so I think that we need to be cognitive of what we take on and what we really can handle and what we really can take.
All right. Dr. Turner, I just want you to know, you can give me your Dr. Turner response, but I also want your Brian Cigar response. I'm just
look, real talk. What is an alibi? An alibi is evidence of, one's ability to have been in another place at a time and whatever, right? So we can play with all the different definitions, but we're all describing our different alibis. Because what happens is when we tell this lie, which I can say that my biggest and really more along Michael's point, my most consistent lie to myself is that it's okay to continue to wait for things to change.
Oh, wow.
Right? What that means is we get stuck. When in reality, to go back to the point, I might not be able to fix everybody's stuff, but if I'm stuck and mired in my stuff, then what happens is I don't feel it's my responsibility, like Mike said, to change it. I do sit here and I think it's fine because I could just wait. I got time. Or I can handle it. See, the longer I wait, the more they'll know I'm waiting for them, the more they'll know I care. And so these are all alibis in a way that allow us to act out of character from who we know we want to be. So there's nothing wrong with being a fixer. We just got to make sure we're fixing things that we want to be fixed. I can't try to fix stuff that's not going to benefit me or not going to benefit people I care about. I can't give my energy and pour into people in situations that don't pay back. And actually, Erica, sometimes I will be fine, but it's in those moments where I have to realize, you know what? Yeah, I'm not going to be fine now. Let me stop. I don't need to do that. I need to recognize that this is beyond that level of my ability to carry, right? And as I said, in kind of mirroring, I can handle it and I can just keep waiting. Sometimes, no, babe, I got to go. Or this ain't working this time. I can't handle your stupidity. I can't handle your craziness. I can't handle your toxicity. I'm not going to wait for you to change. And so the Brian answer is really like this. I don't lie to myself. The Brian answer is, I learned a long time ago, I got to take care of all this by myself. So I'm not going to lie to you. And if you're not taking care of it for me, I'm going to tell you the truth. And if ever there comes a day where you start taking care of what I got to take care of, why would I lie to you? Because you handling this. I'm giving you the truth. I'm giving you me. And if you're accepting all of me, then I don't have to have an alibi. I can be real. I can be my real self. I don't have to give you a different version of me. So ideally, and in my most real space, I don't lie. And I stop lying to myself because unfortunately, that's the point, is that I say, yeah, I'm not waiting anymore for this to change. I'm not waiting for this to be different. No, you know what? I'm not fine with the way you act. I'm not fine with the way you talk. I'm not fine with the way you behave. And no, I'm not going to fix you because you're broken beyond repair, and I will move on. And you know what? I can handle it, but I'm not choosing to handle this anymore. I'm going to walk away. I may have the capacity and the ability, but I'm not choosing today to give any of that to you. So I don't lie anymore. And I learned that a long time ago because, as Michael already said, when you lie, somebody's going to get hurt. And more often than not, you're going to hurt yourself. I don't like it, and I'm not going to do anything to hurt myself.
Very nice. Very nice. You know, I smell relationship talk coming in, and so I'm just going to go ahead. Yes, yes. I'm going to tell you, this is a funny thing, and I want you guys to tell me what you think of my behavior, because I'm about to talk about my behavior. I was in a relationship, and somebody was lying to me. Oh my goodness, he was lying to me, lying to me. And he had the nerve, the audacity to get mad at me once he found out I knew he was lying and I didn't say anything. What do you want me to do about it? What do you want me to do? Can y'all help me? Because I found that so amusing. So I was like, so you're mad at me because I let you lie to me and let you believe that I believed you? Help me out, y'all. Help me.
I'm not gonna lie to you. That's some bull. Let it go. No,
I could only laugh. I could only laugh. And wait.
What did Elsa say? What did Elsa say? She said, "Let it go. Let it go."
Wait a minute. And look, this is the playeration of it all. I was disingenuous because I didn't tell him I knew, baby.
Well, that's a lie. You know, I mean,
the lie detector test determined that was a lie.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Dr. Brian is saying that he's not going to lie to you, but I'm not going to let you lie to me. So that conversation wouldn't even happen because I would have told you was lying from the first time you said the lie. You know, call it out.
I didn't feel like telling him that I knew. I didn't feel like it.
Because Coach Erica Love has told us that she's used to saying that it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I just, honestly, guys, I simply did not feel like listen, okay, you took the time to lie to me because you wanted me to believe something that was false. I already knew it was false. Okay. Fine.
Was it something major or was it something minor?
The whole thing was it was a pattern of deceit. Okay. And my response to the pattern of deceit after I had figured the situation out was,
but
whatever.
See,
whatever. Because it did not affect it. It no longer affected how I viewed the situation or the person. You know, don't explain. Why would I ask you to explain yourself? I don't believe you anyway. So why should I make you talk? Why should I make myself listen to you? It's a ridiculous circle. It's nothing to argue about. I think you're foolish. That's what it's going to boil down to.
But see, if you had said that in the beginning, you could have spared yourself probably a lot of anguish. But I look at it a little bit differently because what I see is that for one reason or another, whichever way it's going, whether I'm trying to protect myself or I'm trying to protect you, lies are all rooted pretty much in fear.
Yeah.
And that
or control. I want to talk about, because I want to talk about the power dynamics in lying. That's the next part we're going to go on to.
Yeah. So I mean, I think if you really look at it as a reaction to fear and as a what's the word I'm looking for? As an outlet of fear, then your approach to it maybe changes a little bit. Look, I mean, I think everyone has at some point told a lie, and when you look at why you told that lie, it was rooted in some kind of fear and a fear response. And I think what that allows us to do, hopefully, is approach not the lie, but the person telling the lie with maybe a little bit more compassion. Why were they so afraid that they felt like that was necessary? And is there, and this is maybe the fixer in me, but and what could I have done that maybe would have made them not feel that need to do that? Now, again, that may be trying to fix more than I have a real responsibility or ability even to do. But it does, I've been reading a little bit lately and about a few different philosophies, and but the idea of compassion keeps coming back to me. And I think if you can find the place where you can be compassionate, you can find the way to both be healthier for yourself and healthier to the other person. And part of that is, speaking the truth and speaking your truth. So that for me is something I try to bear in mind. If somebody's lying to me, they're afraid of something, and maybe I need to help calm the fear before I start trying to deal with the lie.
So we have thus far been talking about fairly rational people. Okay.
Have we?
I said fairly rational people who give a crap about you in some sort of way. Like there's a consequence to the lie. But in this internet world that we live in, and quite frankly, as I've discovered, the higher you go up the ladder, people will make up stories about you that are absolute nonsense and try to disparage who you are and your reputation just because they don't want you to be who you are. They don't want you there. They don't think you have the right to speak or the right to have an opinion, or just by your presence, it makes them X. Okay. So they troll you. How do you navigate that? All of you guys are in some kind of position of authority, notoriety, or what have you. How are you navigating your trolls, whether they're on the internet or in person? How's that happening? What are we doing?
I just level up again. I make them matter. I do something.
Okay. Level up.
I just show them that I can't be stopped. So I think what's interesting, once again, when we're playing with the topic of secret lies and alibis, is that, as was stated, we have to understand the etiology and where a lie comes from, what it's rooted in. And I do agree that part of it is fear, but I think Michael was hitting at the point that, or Erica, you were saying there's another level of control. Now that control does not have to be in a sense of being in a masochist kind of role of wanting to like empower some stuff, but that level of control is oftentimes also in a desire to just control the outcome of situations, right?
Yes.
So it's the manipulation piece, right? And that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to move from control to manipulation, because like you said, Coach Love, when you find someone who's lying about something that they really didn't even have to lie about, well, at that point, they're just trying to manipulate and see how they can massage and control situations. Not so much that they want to control you.
Master.
You don't do anything. It's like, let me tell her this and see how this will go. And so what I think about when we play with this notion of how other people impacts us, that's why one of the things that I love to just tell people is like, to thine own self be true. At the end of the day, if you're being honest with you, you won't be moved by what other people say about you, because you're like, oh yeah, that's just some craziness. Let me go ahead and run this, and I'm gonna show them what's really up. Let me, and as a matter of fact, I will say this here, but I remember prior to me receiving rank and tenure, I kind of withheld some of the things I was doing because I wanted to get a feed for how I would be evaluated. And when I went for rank and tenure, they got the full slate and there was no questions, right? And what I think is interesting is that all too often I think people will believe that they have to show their whole hand. And in that space, they have nothing else to do after that, right? And so then people can manipulate you. People can lie to you. People can put you in positions where you're willing to do anything. And I think we have to be honest about the fact that everybody, and I think we alluded to this earlier in terms of what Mike might have said, but everybody is not entitled to have the fullness of who you are. People have to earn that. People
Do
have to
not
earn
throw
it.
your pearls to swine.
Hey, talk about it.
100%, 100%. Mike, give it to me. What are your thoughts?
Well, I've got a couple, and they're going to probably be a little controversial, so you're going to have to.
I'm ready for it.
We said something earlier that I've wrestled with some, and it was kind of in passing, but we talked about because I know there's this scripture that says God won't give you more than you can handle, but the truth is I've just seen too many people who clearly had more than they could handle in their life. And I've watched those people take their lives and or destroy their own lives because they couldn't handle the things that were going on. And I've seen kids who were in a position who were trying to handle adult issues. And so I'm not sure that, I'm not sure I can accept that part of it. I think sometimes people do have more than they can handle. And that's why we need other people who can be compassionate and help us shoulder that when we can't handle it, so that we don't have that feeling of isolation. And part of that comes in accepting each other and accepting people where they are. And I think that that's, really important. The other end of it, and I totally get that. I think you do have to be careful what you give of yourself to other people. I back away a little bit from the idea of pearls before swine, because to me, that just, and maybe it's probably just me, so I'll go ahead and put that out there, but to me, that just feels a little egotistical. Like I have something that's so much better than what anybody else has, and they just aren't going to appreciate it because I'm so great and they just don't get it. So for me, it's, I kind of deconstruct that a little bit. And I look at it a little bit differently, which is just that I'm careful about who I share those most genuine parts of myself with. And maybe I shouldn't be. I know a lot of people say, well, just be genuine all the time. And I just don't know that I know anybody who does that. I think we're all kind of playing a role depending on where we are and what situation we're in, So I think that that may be the theater background. But I do think we bring out different parts of ourselves to deal with different situations on a pretty regular basis. But the innermost parts of me, the genuine parts of me, I share with people that I truly feel comfortable with. And that's a pretty small group of people, to be real honest with you. I don't give that away easily. And so that's my version of the pearls before swine thing. But it's, kind of what's, led me through the various mazes and tunnels.
I got you. You know what? I really understand where you're coming from. I want it to be understood it's not the fact that the people are pigs. It is the fact that you cannot give I think we're saying the same thing. It is unwise to give the best parts and the most genuine parts away of yourself to someone who's going to abuse it and misuse it. That is just unwise. And it's not that the person is bad, but they simply don't value you. They
Yes.
don't value you.
It's the value. Right.
And I agree with that, which is kind of why, you know, I went the long way around explaining that. So you put it much more succinctly. But yes, yeah, that's absolutely right.
100%. All right, Miss Shamir, give it to us, girl. I know you got something good.
Well, I have to say this: to thine own self be true. Okay. And the reason why I say that is that if you're your truest self to you, nobody else really matters. What other people think of you doesn't really matter because you're true to yourself. You're living up to your own standards. You're setting your own goals. You're at a level where only you can obtain. And you're not worried about what other people think about you. And I had to learn this. And this is something that has helped me actually through the trolls and elevating, because with elevation, they say new levels, new devils, right? So with elevation, you get all of these things that come against you when you're trying to elevate or go higher, you know, or be a higher version or better version of yourself. And so I say that you always have to be true to yourself. Even in business, I say this: what is your bottom line number? You know, I don't wake up out the bed, turn over, get in my car, go anywhere for under a certain amount of money. But that's my number. And if I know my number, nobody else can say, hey, I have $50. Can you come and do this? And then I don't feel a certain way about it because my bottom line number is this. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay,
You set the standard. Just like Dr. Turner said, you know, you set the tone. You know, you set those situations up for yourself. And once you know yourself, okay, once you're walking in your own purpose, once you're walking in your uniqueness and you know your worth, nobody else can diminish that or say anything against that that's going to deter you from knowing who you truly are.
Facts. I'm curious how you guys might deal with something like this, because a lot of times it's not just one comment, one thing. Do you remember the Muppet Show? And there were these guys who had a whole lot of money, and they would sit up in the balcony, and all they did was hate. That was their job.
Hecklers.
Hecklers. They were hecklers. Perfect word. What if you had a heckler? Like they were in your community. It was not, you know, practical to get rid of them. What would you do if you had a heckler and they literally followed you around? And I don't care if you said the most brilliant thing that you ever said, they heckled you and they said something stupid. What would be your response?
I make them a part of the show.
Ah, nice.
I'm interested because I've thought about times where people have attempted to provoke me, and I engage my community.
Okay.
I engage my community to call it out, right? And so in a very clear, I think about an incident where someone decided they wanted to disparage me. So I made a phone call. I said, look, I'm not trying to go at this person. I said, but clearly they have something about me. I said, now it's very simple. Either this person can stop or I won't be nice about it, right? And so when I made the comment, I was like, this ain't a threat. This ain't, you know, anything untoward. It's just that this person is saying something that's not necessary. And if they have a problem, they need to address it with me and not the world. And then it stopped. And I
really like that. I like that. That's a good tip. That is a very
and once again, I engaged the community of people who I know care for me. And I said, look, I know you know this person. And if this is someone that you think you can pull their tailcoat, and let them know that they're out of bounds, right? Now, and the point being is that person would not have been able to take that message from me. but they took it from someone that they respected and that they felt a camaraderie with. And had they dishonored that camaraderie, then that would have shown that person that they didn't have the relationship that they thought they had with some people. And so for me, kind of like Sister said, I kind of play into this notion. I will say this, the only thing I disagree with, because human beings are social animals. And I learned a long time ago, when our mama just say, if all your little friends jump off the bridge, you're going to jump off the bridge with them. Most of us knew to tell our mamas, no, I ain't going to do it. But in the back of our minds, like, well, shucks, if they doing it, I might as well do it too. But
yes.
If it's fun.
I mean, if everybody's doing it, then why wouldn't I? I used to be like, well, you just say everybody's doing it. That includes me. I'm part of everybody, right?
All right. Because I want to talk to you. I want to say this, because part of that little heckling, so to speak, it's signaling, right? And when somebody sees another person abusing you, part of them, there's something about humanity that makes them want to jump in on it.
Yeah.
They want to jump in on it.
And the last point I make would be simply this.
It's animalistic.
Well, it's the social animalness that we are a part of groups or tribes or prides or something, right? And it doesn't have to be the proverbial 5,000 Facebook friend limit. But what I offer is this thought. We all engage in what we do because we expect some type of social capital, right? Whether it be from the people we love, the people we think highly of, or the people we want to shower us with praise. And I think what happens when people attempt to heckle us or to demean us and or disparage us, however we might describe it, I think it is just that they're trying to test that love for us. So that's why, like I said, I tap into the community. I say, let me show you how the people love me then. Go ahead, keep saying it. Now, watch how you cut yourself off by trying to cut me off. And all you're going to do is, and the Bible tells all the time that the devil will make your enemies your footstool. So I just be stepping on people's backs to where I won't go.
Yeah,
I like it. I want to let us not forget to attack that particular idea, how people come together to hate on you all at once, and it's just because they saw someone else do it. They you know what, that person did it, so let me just jump in there and get mine. I want to talk about that. Mike, it's your turn.
Well, but the thing about it is, and what I really liked about what you were saying, Brian, is this, that look, there are things that other people can say about you that you can't say about yourself when it comes to, public issues like this, things on Facebook, social media, whatever it is. And so I think it is important for people to be willing to speak out. And this is one thing that, I have, done a fair amount. When I see somebody's, being put in that position, sometimes even if I don't know that person, I will jump in and provide a different approach, or at least just let that person know they're being supported. Because the thing about it is what's true about you. I don't have to answer every criticism of me. And in fact, I couldn't answer every criticism of me. And I know that's not how I want to spend my time. So sometimes for me, the best response is like dealing with an unruly child, and that's silence. Don't give them the attention that they're craving from you, because that's really what it comes down to, I think. And then look for the opportunity to give them the attention you want to give in the way that you want to give it. But in the meantime, I think you have to rely on the people who do care about you, who do know who you are, to help you shoulder that burden again. And that really is what it comes down to for me. And it's unusual that I'm saying this honestly, because I'm not as social as most people probably think that I am. But I really do think that it's important that people help shoulder each other's, burdens and challenges. And so if you're not willing to speak out on behalf of someone that you know about or care about, that's really a much bigger issue, because there's always going to be people who who are going to want to tear you down. To the other point, and I just want to touch on this real quickly, because the minute you said higher levels, new devils, is that, because I've not heard that before, but I love that. But the other side of the flip side of that, I think it was Goethe who said, be bold and mighty forces will come to your aid. And I think that's really true. And I think if we put ourselves out there in a bold way, we will find more community than we think that we have. And then I'm going to reference Harry Potter. There's a moment in Harry Potter, you know, I had to do this sooner or later, right?
Yes.
There's a moment in Harry Potter where, you know, he's, you know, questioning how many people really believe him as he goes through all these trials. And this one, you know, friend says, you know, I think you have more support than you think you have. But if I was the enemy, I would want you to feel alone, because if it's just you, it's easier to defeat you. And so, yeah.
That is so cool. You know what? I just want to thank you all for being brilliant. And I'm just so humbled and excited that you guys are a phone call away. Are there, you know what? It's already time to go. Is there any last words? Is there anything that you want to equip the audience with before we go?
I'll say this.
All right, here we go.
I learned a long time ago. Too many people would rather live with a pretty lie. Die with a pretty lie than live with the ugly truth. And I think all too often what we're afraid of is the fact that the truth not necessarily will set you free, but the truth will let you live the life that you really want. And so for me, when I think about secrets, lies, and alibis, my reality is that if you have to lie about it, then why are you even doing it? If a person can't handle your truth and who you are, then you probably don't want that person either. So when I think about this point, and I'm gonna bring it back to the whole kind of baseline of what it is when we talk about our kids and our families are being destroyed by lies. Our families are being destroyed by secrets. And all too often we tell alibis about what we think is going on, what we want to have going on, but what ain't going on. And so if we're ever going to really heal and move forward, we got to tell the truth.
Nice. Very beautiful. Very beautiful. Shamir, give it to us.
I just think that life and principalities are to be lived in spirit and in truth. And so whatever you're feeling in yourself, in your spirit, let that be true to the person that you're portraying to other people, even the person that you're portraying to yourself. So live in your truth, walk in your truth, and be your truth.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Mike.
Wow, you know, it's hard being last on this one because you guys are saying such amazing things, and I just have a lot of respect. I'm really humbled that you asked me to participate in this because these are really great people, obviously, and I wish I knew you better. But I think for me, what it comes down to is really from the perspective of being told a lie, it's understanding, you know, why you think that's happening. In some cases, people are just not good people, so you have to face that. But if it's somebody you really care about, and that's usually when it really hurts, then there's probably a reason they were afraid. And I think if you get to that reason becomes more important than the lie. So I can forgive the lie if I can understand where it came from. And so that's my goal, is to, if I've caused somebody, if by my actions or my attitude or my words, I put somebody in a place where they were afraid to tell me the truth. Again, mirrors before windows.
Mirrors
I'm
before
asking
windows.
myself, what can I do that doesn't put somebody in that kind of position?
I love that. Mirrors before windows. And obviously, we're going to have a part 2 to this, because we are really just getting started. But I think this is an evergreen subject. And this goes right into my last words. Family, we are all learning. You are not alone on this. Nobody knows how to do this perfectly. And I think this is a growth area for anyone in leadership, any professional, and quite frankly, any human being. We've all got to get better at dealing with this, because it's just something we've got to deal with. Do we agree, family?
Agreed.
Absolutely.
All right.
I
Thank
say.
you. I like it. Look, guys, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks.
Good night.
Bye.